And it just takes a few seconds for everyone to get in here, a minute or so. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the next demonstration session here at the xAPI party. We're going to be talking with Stephen, or I should say Stephen will be talking to us about storing and retrieving xAPI data across SCORM content. So this is going to be interesting. I know a couple of you mentioned in chat you were looking forward to this session. So that's going to be great to see how Stephen does this. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to Stephen. If you have questions, drop them in the Q&A or in the chat. I'll curate those and get those asked, or I should say answered by Stephen at the appropriate times.
All right, well, hello, everybody, and thank you so much. I will say right off the bat, if you did this session at DevLearn, I apologize. It's going to be the exact same thing, but hopefully it's going to be fun here. So just as a way of introduction, my name is Stephen Kalnoske. I am the Senior Product Development Engineer at the SANS Institute. I've been there for 7 years. The SANS Institute is a cybersecurity education company, and a very large portion of that is e-learning education. Prior to that, I did e-learning for the Federal Aviation Administration. I was there for 8 years, and I did simulations and role-based training in e-learning for en route air traffic controllers. And then that adds up to, I guess, 15 years in the xAPI world. And my job title right now, we are in the innovation department. So we get to do all the cool lab stuff, test out things, and see if we want to bring them to market or not. And that lends itself very well to experimenting with xAPI. And just a little bit real quick about SANS Institute and how we use xAPI. So we have up to 120,000 xAPI and CMI5 courses that are launched a day from our platforms. And that adds up to about 1 million xAPI statements that are collected per day. Now, a lot of that is, Bob looked at slide 5 kind of xAPI statements, but, there's a lot in quizzes and all that kind of stuff as well. But still, we use a lot of xAPI data. And then for this demonstration, just a little bit about what I'm using. Articulate Storyline. I downloaded the free LRS edition of Watershed. We use Litmus LMS. For all the xAPI communication inside the SCORM course, I'm using Rusticy's TinCan.js library, and then a little sprinkling of VS Code, just to make sure I don't misspell anything or miss semicolons in the JavaScript. And just some assumptions. I'm assuming this is my first time at the xAPI cohort party, so I assume everybody's dabbled in or you're already using xAPI and CMI5. You have a rudimentary understanding of JavaScript, what are variables, what are objects, and then know the basics of what an LRS does. And that was a little bit more specific to DevLearn there in the track. And just going through a little bit about, the xAPI standard. We have this regular statement of JavaScript object. Again, Bob, Sally did something, verb, object, actor. And just a little bit about what we think, is the common xAPI data flow, that you have an LMS that launches content. Very happy e-learners, hopefully, are taking your training. And then the LRS receives that detailed training data. The LMS records like in the big 4: score, time taken, completion, satisfaction. And then that gets you into very advanced training reporting. And if you're still printing out paper copies, I'm sorry. For managers, I'm sorry. After that, xAPI areas. So we have, the statement API. That's kind of like the stereotypical xAPI stuff, agent and activity. This is great for a historical record. The person did this. And this is great for reporting and analytics. And after that, the state profile document. This is, agent activity and registration based. So this sticks around for a whole registration. It's key value data. This is great for storing things like, variables in a course or bookmarking where they left off in a course. And I've always thought of this as basically the same as SCORM suspend data. And the important thing about this one is anything that is discarded after anything that is in here it's basically discarded once the registration is either changed or reassigned. And you often get this for free out of e-learning tools like Articulate. After that, we have the agent profile document, and this is specific to that learner or that agent. It's also a key value data store. And the cool thing about this is it persists across all registrations and all launches. So if you create a key value pair on this agent document, no matter where you're launching the course or which course is launching, you can get access to this data. So this is great for storing data that is specific to that learner, like learner preferences, what language they want to take the course in, any kind of gamification badges they've accumulated along the way. And then the activity profile. And this is kind of like very similar to the agent profile. This is all key value data. And this persists across registrations and launches. And it's accessible by any course with the same activity ID. So the activity ID is basically the key that goes to this data. And this is great for storing any kind of activity leaderboards, high scores. If you were at the demonstration in the previous session, leaderboards like that. And so really, in this presentation, I'm focusing on these last two, the agent profile document and the activity profile document to make this course happen. And so really, I hate PowerPoint, so I really wanted to show a demo. So I built, well, I didn't build a course in Articulate. I offloaded this to a very junior developer that I know, and that is my daughter, Maya, who loves e-learning about just as much as I do. You can see her hard at work making this Captivate course. She worked very hard on it. So anything you see after here is really her work going into this. So with that, I'm going to end the PowerPoint presentation and go ahead and go into our LMS here. So our LMS here has the Animal Safari course that she did. And this is a course in 3 parts. She has a module where you choose an animal, you learn a little bit about an animal, and then you test your knowledge about the animal. So we're going to go ahead right into choosing an animal to learn about. And so she gave you a little instructions. We're going to pick from 4 different animals that we're going to learn in subsequent modules. And remember, these are all SCORM modules that are completely separate from each other. They were all made as a separate Storyline Articulate course. And so in this, we have the red panda, the king cobra, the peregrine falcon, and the orca whale, which is actually not a whale. Everybody was very about the red panda, so we're just going to click on the red panda here. And we get a little bit of facts about the red panda. It was found in 1825, and we have an opportunity to name our red panda. She calls her red panda stuffed animal Big Red, so I'm just going to copy that. And really, that's the end of this module. So we picked an animal, we named the animal, and then this module was completed, and we're going to exit out. And you see we get the completion in our LMS. And next, we're going to learn about the animal. And this is really like a kind of like a Schrodinger's box of training here. The training is going to decide where to branch you in based on the previous module. And you can see up in the upper right-hand corner, we have the little avatar of our red panda. And we can continue on. We're going to learn some basic facts about the animal here. And you can see up top, we have the red panda, but also Big Red. So it carried through the name that we gave our red panda into this course. And so it has a scientific name. Forest in China is its habitat. It lives about 9 years old. It eats bamboo, small mammals, and birds. Its maximum speed is about 24 miles an hour. Its main predator is a snow leopard, also a really cool animal. And I assume snow leopards go faster than 24 miles an hour. And it is endangered. And so that is it. You learned about the red panda. We all love microlearning, don't we? And so now it's time to really test the knowledge that we've learned. And again, when this course launches up, this is a course that has basically all those questions, but it's launching us right into the red panda course. And so they are found in China. Red panda's main diet is bamboo. And then red panda and panda bears are related. That is false. That was not in the training. And so we got 100 on that. And then we're going to close out. And then we have like a little leaderboard. And so we have our red panda name, Big Red here. And that 30,876, that is not the score that we got on the quiz, but that is the time elapsed in milliseconds since we started module 1 of this course. And that's basically, if you had a bunch of people, it's only me taking this course on this LMS. If you had a bunch of people, you would see all this ranked up and everything. So that is our Red Panda course. We are all completed on this. So I just want to break real quick and see if there are any questions.
I'm not seeing any questions. I think we're all very impressed about your daughter's work here. We'll want to see her portfolio and hire her, I suppose. So
Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just start up Captivate, or sorry, we've used Captivate for 8 years and we just switched to Articulate, so it's a little bit of a habit. But this is basically Animal Safari Module 1, and I just want to real quick just go through here and show some of the JavaScript that we used to make this course. So in here, we have a little bit of JavaScript, and this is basically just establishing a connection to the Watershed LRS. We're building this course as a SCORM course and not a native xAPI or CMI5 course. Of course, if we did, it would be the kind of like the same thing, except the connection is already pre-built for this. And one of the lessons I learned is anytime you have this kind of asynchronous communication going on, you also almost need to have like a state variable in Storyline. And I have the state is content loading, which is basically true at the start. And that basically, when is content loading is true, this loading button is here, and you actually can't go on in the course until we get a promise received from this call. And then we can go ahead and set that to false, which lets you go through the course. So after that, we're basically choosing animal. Once you hit one of these icons, we're setting a variable called selected animal to a particular value, like red panda or king cobra, peregrine falcon, orca. And then at the name your animal, we're going to set selected animal name to whatever we typed in here. And then here, when we hit submit, is we execute a little bit more JavaScript. And then this is gathering the variable selected animal, the variable selected animal name, so those string texts. And we're going to just create a little convenience object, animal profile object, set some keys in there and values. And then we're going to set that off to the set agent profile, which is used in Ristisi Tin Can LRS to basically send that to the LRS and store that in the agent profile. And after that, we are done. I'm going to go over to module 2 here. So in the introduction, it's basically the same thing. So in this execute JavaScript block, and let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger. There we go. Again, we're establishing that connection to the LRS. And then we have a promise here. So we want to get that agent profile, and we name it selected animal info. And then with that object, we're going to go in and set variables in Storyline. So we're going to set the variable for selected animal, then the selected animal name in Storyline. And after all those are set, then we can go and set is content loading to false. And what that does is that on this next slide, I actually have it on the master slide, that little avatar of the red panda showed up. And that's basically reading off a state variable to select which picture based on that variable name. Really, this is kind of like the read-only module. We're only reading information from the agent API. And so it gets a little bit more interesting in module 3 here. And you can see the way I structured the quiz module is we have a main module that is the introduction, but then it branches off, and you can either go to the red panda quiz, the orca quiz, the peregrine falcon quiz, and the king cobra quiz. So on the main slide, again, we're establishing connection to the LRS, and then we're getting those variables and selected animal name. Then is content loading setting to false, so we can move through it. And then basically when we hit continue, we're going to go and basically jump to a slide based on the value of selected animal. So if selected animal is red panda, it's going to go to the red panda slide and red panda quiz. And then in the wrap up here, we're going to go ahead and execute some JavaScript. This is a little more intense JavaScript. We're writing an async function to write to the activity profile. We're getting existing score data from the profile in this. When you get into reading and writing at the same time to the activity profile, you have to be a little bit careful. You want to check if there's an existing score for this already. With the activity state profile, you can set a value, you can update a value, and you can delete a value. But setting a value is not the same as updating a value. If you set a value, you will not update it and back and forth like that. So to get that value or to set that value, you have to make sure that the value already doesn't exist in the database. So that's just, if that existing score data does not exist, we're going to go ahead and set it. And then we're going to pull down all the other scores that are in that activity profile. And then we're going to write it again and add our score to it. Now, if there are other scores, we want to download those scores first, add ours to the array that those scores are stored in, and then update instead of set those new scores in there. And then we invoke that function, and that's what really shows up. We're mapping out a player scores variable, and we have an array of scores. We're going to join that array to make it text, and then put that in our course. And so that's basically how I did it. 3 modules. There is one other module in here. You saw it as an optional module. This is the palette cleanser module. So when all these scores are written into the agent profile and activity profile, in order to do the course again or reassign yourself the course, you have to run this little palette cleanser thing. Like, if I went into learning about your animal and I chose a different animal, even though I can start it over in the LMS, the values are not wiped in the LRS. And this can be a good thing and a bad thing. It's a feature, not a bug, because they are supposed to persist. But in order to do that, again, with fresh data, you need to go into this palette cleanser course, and it loads. It gives this check mark when it's actually going in. And I'll show you what it's doing in this file here. I think this is the palette cleanser course. Yeah, so it's going through JavaScript, establishing a connection, and then we're deleting both those profiles. So we're deleting the selected animal info key, and then we're deleting the animal Safari scores key. And then when all that is done, then we'll pop up this check mark. So this is just basically wiping away your previous history on the LRS so that you can start completely fresh in the course. And then, of course, you have to go into your LMS and start it again. So that really concludes my little demo here. So I'm happy to take any questions or anything like that.
All right. Well, does anyone have any questions? I mean, I think that was a great little example. I'm really excited that your daughter created that. How old is she?
She is 8.
She's 8. That's wonderful.
So both I had never worked Articulate Storyline, so we kind of learned it together through there. But she got really good at state variables and layers and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, she's got a good future.
Yeah, she does. That's really impressive when little ones just are like sponges sometimes. I know my daughter, when she was, I think, 9, was learning JavaScript, and she took a course on Khan Academy and learned how to create a ball and push it up a hill or something. It was at that time I was like, wow, that's impressive. But that's what they do. So that's great. So everyone said that's a great demo. I'm not seeing any question. Anyone have any questions? There's a question that just came in. All right. So in terms of registering completion for each of the modules, do you set it to complete at the number of slides viewed or based on the quiz?
So for the first 2 modules, it's all just slide viewed because you're not really writing anything back. So the first 2 modules are slide viewed, and then the last module, the test your knowledge one, you can see it did report back a score, and it's you have to hit 80% to pass. It's 3 questions, so you really have to get all of them correct to get a completion there. But it depends on the course.
Yeah, that's I think that answers the question. Does anyone have any other questions or any other comments, or would like to just comment and maybe talk a little bit about the presentation or the course or the xAPI and how you did this here? Let's see, I really am not. Does this work between Storyline and Rise 360?
I'm not familiar with Rise 360 that much, but if you can input and work with xAPI and Rise 360, I wouldn't see why not.
Okay. I know we had a previous demonstration was a leaderboard created in Rise 360. So perhaps you want to check that presentation out if you weren't part of that. Or if that answers your question, or are you asking a different question, Cedric? That was the question. So great. So we answered that for him. Great. Any other questions? I don't see any other questions coming in. I think we've answered them all. I think everyone's taken that information in, and thank you so much for that demonstration, Stephen. Thank
Great.
your daughter for us as well.
Sure thing. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And so we'll see you in the next session, everyone, and go back to your email and you'll get that link for the next sessions. Oh, Michael says it was really helpful. So there you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.